It's a DACCCAST. It's a DACCCAST. It's a DACCCAST. DACCCAST. Cause I said it's a DACCCAST. It's a DACCCAST. It's a DACCCAST. 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 DACCCAST.
You're listening to DACCCAST, produced by students of Danville Area Community College. And now your hosts, Kaya and Keegan.
Yo, 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 it's Kaya and Keegan here from the basement of the clock tower.
Here on DACCCAST, we get to know the familiar faces we see all over campus in hopes that students at DAC and members of the community get to know each other a little better.
With that being said, we are here with art teacher Ronnie Johnson. How are we doing today?
I'm doing just fine. And yourself?
Good, doing great.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what your role here at DAC is.
I'm Ronnie Johnson, and I teach art pretty much in a handbasket. Everything from painting to drawing to graphic design to art history to ceramics to 3D. I just do just about all of it. Whatever an adjunct wouldn't do, I would do for them.
So are you one of the main people that just spans across our art
Yes, I
department
am the
here?
main
You
people.
are the main people. Yep, makes sense. Okay, so what does a normal day look like for you?
Every morning, Monday through Friday, I get up and I answer emails from about 6:15 to 6:45, and then I take off and go to Schlarman High School where I teach a dual enrollment from 7:40 to 8:35, and then I dart across town, and sometimes I have time to run into McDonald's, and sometimes I don't. And then I show up here for office hours, or my first class starts at 9:30, and there are labs, and labs go for about 2 hours and 40 minutes. And then I'll probably have two on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I'll have Zooms in between on Mondays and Wednesdays for my graphic abstraction, typography, and graphic design courses. And after I get done there, I make my way back home, answer more emails, and eat, and that's about it.
So what did a normal day used to look a lot like virtual, and did you ever have very many virtual classes?
So in about 2008, I was asked to teach some online classes, and my forethought was if I didn't get on this train, I was going to miss it.
Yeah.
And I was skeptical because, you don't know. It's visual arts. It's, all about seeing.
Exactly, yeah.
And we didn't know how successful. I didn't know how successful it would be. I think I do a good job, and I think it is successful, and I do see a difference. And so I've been doing it since then. So it was an easy fit for me when we did the virtual learning thing just recently. And I had already set up all my courses with Blackboard shells prior to that. So mine was really all set up. It was just a matter of a couple clicks for me, and I was ready.
Have you ever ran into classes that really just don't work out online?
Yes, ceramics.
Yeah, that would make sense. That's kind of a hands-on
playing
thing.
in the mud, and you got to put your projects in the kiln and things like that. We really do need to meet on campus, and not everyone has a wheel at home to throw, and those kind of things. So,
that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Painting too a little bit, and the studio classes, drawing a little bit too. But I can pull those off pretty well virtually.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Gotcha. So take us through your background a little bit, your college days. You went to DAC and Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, I graduated from Catlin High School. I'm related to half that town.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say, but no, honestly. It was great because my cousin came over and plowed my drive this weekend.
Gotcha.
So, but I graduated from there. I went to DACC. It was called Danville Junior College back then. But anyway, I played soccer, and I really enjoyed it in high school, so I thought I'd do it here, and I played my sophomore year also. And I was going to go to Illinois State. In the last minute, I had a really good friend of mine, Guy Goodlove, who's the principal of Westville.
Hello.
And he asked, let's room together down at Eastern. And I changed my mind about 3 or 4 weeks before I was going, and I ended up at Eastern. And so
Guy
me and-
Goodlove is that persuasive? I graduated from Westville High School.
I'm sorry to hear that. But anyway, no. No, Guy, I won't share any stories. But no, yeah, we were pretty tight in high school, and he was manager at McDonald's
Oh,
at one time.
interesting.
And we used to show up there at 10 o'clock, and he'd fix whatever, or I'd get whatever was left over. And, we
he
had
was breaking the
fun.
rules.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, after Eastern, I went there. I didn't, as I said, I was playing soccer. So I don't know if you ever played collegiate sports. The coach will walk you around. And this is before you did registration online, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you walked in McAfee Gym, which was not the biggest gym like Lance, but the second one. And all the tables were set up, and they had all the curriculums on there. And the coach, I walk in there, and the first one said, accounting, and I said, oh, hell no. And the second one was anthropology, and I was like, I really don't know what that is. And the third one was art. I said, Coach, I can do this because I took some art classes, and that's how I became an art.
Are you serious?
Now, you think
Oh, my
that's no forethought, but I was young, I fell in love with it. I mean, I really fell in love with making art, doing art, learning about art.
Yeah.
And anyway, after my bachelor's degree, my whole family is in home building, right? So we were building Randy Bullock garages. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they used to build several garages back in the day. We were building Randy Bullock's house. And the electrician comes in and he says, hey, you got that job at Eastern. I go, what job? I haven't played for any job. And then I started thinking, I says, I casually told Tom Whalen, who teaches at Sangamon State, or whatever it's called now.
We wouldn't know.
You in Springfield. Well, whatever. So anyway, I casually told him I would take a grad assistantship if one came up. Well, one came up. And this is before cell phones, and this was up north of, we were building a house north of Walmart. So I said, oh, cool, I get out of work for a couple of hours. I got to drive back home and call. So I go back home, and the electrician on my way out said, oh, your mom said you'd take the job. So I called them up, and they says, we got a grad assistantship for you. It's yours, but you got to be down here tomorrow. Oh, great. Get out of work another day. That's how a young man thinks, right? So I go down there, and he says, we'll pay your fees, we'll pay your tuition, we'll pay your books, we'll give you $500 a month. You got to work 12 hours a week or something like that. And that's how I ended up with my master's degree. So
Wow.
as you had just gathered, my whole family built houses for a living, right?
Yeah.
So when I get my master's degree, I build houses for the next 15, 20 years, okay, until the housing market dropped.
Yeah.
I built 40 houses in about 12 years.
Wow.
And when it started slowing up, I caught it pretty early. I didn't go bankrupt or anything like that. And I ended up back in Danville, and my wife was from Danville, coincidentally, which was close to Catlin. And I said, oh, I'm just going to start all over or whatever. My kids went, I'm a firm believer in Catholic school system.
Yeah.
And we were busing our kids over to St. Mary's in Mattoon. And where we were going to move into my wife's house that had been handed down through the generations. So when we moved in there, I was like, well, St. Paul's is right down the street. Schleiman High School, where my wife graduated from, and her mom graduated from, is right down the street, too.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a very convenient thing for me to fall into. So a couple years goes by. My kids are going to school there, and Mary Pat Shepard, who was the principal at St. Paul's, calls me up and says, hey, I need someone to put in the bathroom stalls in the school. Yeah, my education career started with bathroom stalls. So I go there, put in these bathroom stalls, and small talk, she found out I had a master's degree in art. 2 months later, she calls me up and says, I need someone to sub for a couple weeks while the other art teacher is away. I said, well, my kids go there. I should do that, right? Mm-hmm. But I got to be done by 2:30 because I'm painting a ceiling at Heatcraft. We called it Heat Crap. But it's a factory.
Yeah.
It was east of town, tore down. I know it wasn't the paint job. But anyway, she says, yeah, we could work it out. You could be done by 2:30. So I taught there from 8 to whenever, and I went out there, I think I had to be there at 3:30. And then I worked till midnight, painting the
Whoa.
ceiling. And I did that for 4 weeks, and then the priest comes in and calls me down after my class and says, our prayers would be answered if you would take the position. How you going to tell a
Yeah, I was
priest
gonna say, you
no,
can't turn
I'm
that one
sorry.
down.
Say no to that one.
And I said, make sure God gets this memo, and I'll do it. So that first year went by, and then Dr. Broderick from Schlarman High School came down. He was the principal there, and he says, in March of that same school year, said, I got 2 sections in the afternoon. Can you do it? And I said, well, I know I'd be stupid not to. Yeah, I'll do it, but I got to be done by 2:30. So I taught in the morning, the afternoon at high school, and then I went out there and painted the ceiling. Third year rolls around, and Richie Pate, who was the interim dean at the time, right before Dr. McConnell. He was a wonderful boss, by the way. And he says, I hear you're teaching art now. I says, yeah. He says, do you want to do a night class for me at Art Appreciation on a Tuesday night? I said, yeah, I could do that. So I ended up getting off work on Tuesday night so I could teach that class, and then that job ended at Heatcraft. So then for the next 8 years, I did the morning at the grade school, afternoon in the high school. My first classes start out here about 2:30, and I did that for 8 years. And in 2013, the full-time position came up, and I took it.
God. So you had 3 jobs at one time?
For 8
For 8
years.
years.
Are you said you as of right now, presently, you work at Schlarman and here?
Yeah, Schlarman dual enrollment through DAC, and I had done that there since 2006.
Do you think you would feel weird and out of place if you just went to work like one place just for a specific time?
I did. When I got the full-time position here, they begged me to go back to Schlarman often for 4 years. And then finally I said, the only way I can do it is I could do the first hour. That was it. And finally it caught up to where I could do it first hour.
Yeah.
So then I just ended up there. And my kids was still going there. I still had... And it was so neat to see your kids doing the high school experience.
Yeah.
Getting on homecoming courts and, getting asked to homecoming and things like that. That was pretty important.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, what did you like better, teaching elementary students or teaching college students?
I love teaching college students.
Really?
But, when you're teaching elementary kids too, you're ready to talk to adults by the time the afternoon rolled around,
sense.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how that goes. I do miss those kids and their innocence and their, they just crack you up.
Yeah.
And you'll be at Walmart and all of a sudden be like, Mr. Johnson, come down and giving you hugs and things like that. Okay, so one spring break, I get a job painting the ceiling at County Market South, which is, I don't know what it's called now. It's in the
Tilton?
in the town center.
Oh,
there
yeah,
used to be a county market there.
Yeah,
across
yeah.
from the courthouse.
Gotcha.
You know where that is, huh?
I do.
So anyway.
I do.
I hope you don't have to know. But anyway, unless you're on jury duty. So I went there for spring break. Now, that had to be third shift because there wasn't that many people in there, right? And so I have my big air mask on. I'm all bundled up because, we're doing the ceiling and there's fumes and everything's taped off and hermetically sealed. And all of a sudden this mother I recognized said, we need some frozen pizzas. And we just happened to be doing that section at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I need, pizzas. And then I noticed one of the little kids was one of my students was standing right next to her. And anyway, I said, I'll get. So I snuck in there, got her, what kind, and I handed it over. And I took my mask down like this. And Mr. Johnson. And so that was like pretty memorable. Still, I'm still talking about it. But kind of things. I miss those kind of things.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
definitely.
So,
You don't get those type of reactions with college students.
no, you don't.
Exactly.
Oh, Mr.
They just go about
Johnson.
their business and get the pizza and buy it and leave. Gotcha.
Okay, so you have this very interesting background in how you got into art, but what made you said you had taken classes in high school. What made you so interested in it? What aspect of art?
At the time, I thought I would excel in it and I could be successful. It wasn't as simple as coach saying, can you pull this off? And, oh, easy credit, I'll do this.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite like that. I did have some kind of interest. My first love was music, and I played music for several years and was a touring musician for almost 15, I think. And so it kind of came hand in hand. I don't know how to put it. I always made art for myself. I was reluctant to show it. I did know I have a little bit of a talent when I was doing like little posters and things like that. I think I won a poster contest my 4th grade year or something like that.
Which kind of gave me early. Look at that.
And it was like that confidence really kind of nurtured me through the next, at least in art.
Mm-hmm.
So you said did you say you were a touring musician for
I was.
15 years?
For about 15 years, yeah.
So where did that fit into everything else you've done?
Well, it was when I was at Eastern, I met some cats, because that's what we call musicians. I met some cats who played music, and I played in high school at the Redwood Inn, if people remember that, and teen dances and the VFW, the old VFW, and things like that, okay? Yeah. And I knew I always liked it, and I got into this band. It was a cover band. It was called The Heroes. It was some high school friends of mine, and we, did these little teen dance things. So, of course, that band broke up. I played an AC/DC cover band for a while. We did whole sides of albums.
Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Albums are like big CDs, and they're black.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, do tell me more. What is that?
Okay. I just thought I'd clarify that. I got to relate to your generation. But anyway, I get to college. Of course, that band had to break up because, I'm leaving. Everybody's going. A guy sang in one of my bands.
What?
Yeah, at one time. You'll have to ask him to sing a tune for him someday.
Next time I see him, I'm going to,
I hope you're watching, guys.
I'm going to send this, I'm actually going to send this episode to him. I don't know if he'll be excited about that or not.
I wouldn't. But anyway, no, he's a great guy. So, of course, in college, I hooked up with some guys that play bass and things like that. So little combos. Mm-hmm. I ended up falling into this like punk band because punk music was kind of the college thing at that time. And it kind of morphed into this cowpunk, all original band that I played in. And we toured. Our spring breaks would be like going to Florida and Georgia. Cool. And, it was fun. Yeah. And we did get a little bit of success, but not a lot. We were next to nowhere. Well, we did play with some pretty big acts, like Soul Asylum, if you remember them back in the day. No, of course not. Like in Minneapolis, and got to play some pretty neat places at Tenna Club and
wow.
and Memphis and Lincoln, Nebraska.
That's pretty cool.
Then I played in a speed metal band. Then I was in a band called Spankwagon, who saw a lot of success. And my last tour was with The Offspring as a support act, and that was kind of neat because you could see, that you get the big crowds. They were just in their diapers at that time.
Gotcha.
But I did play with Ice-T on in Body Count on Christmas Day at the Lafayette Club in Bloomington and things like that. So it was a lot of fun.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's pretty wild. That is pretty wild. And then, so art, you played the drums, and I heard that you own a tavern?
I do own a tavern, yes.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
We card, by the way.
You card, by the way. Okay, so we'll put that out there. Just make sure everybody knows. He's winking.
No, we do.
Yeah, because Rosie's Tavern is kind of just down there, nestled right by
being from Westville, you should know where that's at.
I do. I do.
It's in the middle of nowhere. It
really is.
It's the oldest tavern in Vermilion County.
Whoa, really?
It was founded in 1904, I believe, by Rosie's grandfather. and it was
Wow.
called Stoltz at the time. And about 1930, it burnt down, and they rebuilt. And then about that time, Rosie's father had the tavern, and that burnt down in 1949, and they rebuilt where the current location is now. And then Rosie, of course, had it. She died in the 80s, and she was probably somewhere in the 80s. She sold it to Mary Cottle, the first. Oh no, her granddaughters had it for. Her son had it for a while. Then her granddaughters had it for a while.
Okay.
Then they sold it to Mary Cottle. Was the first people out of the family to own it, and that was about 21 years ago. And then we bought it about 3 years ago. I have a business partner.
Interesting. To give you an idea of where exactly this is located, it's like the part in Westville where on a snow day we close and don't have school because the people who live around Rosie's Tavern can't get up the hills to get to school.
Yeah.
Like it's in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the hollers.
Yeah.
It's always kind of funny because people from Danville make fun of people from Westville, and people from Westville make fun of people from Grape Creek, and people from Grape Creek
Yep.
make fun of people from Hallbuck. So you start like, you go, how bad is Hallbuck? But no, I love the people down there. They're down to earth. They're self-starters. They're self-reliant. You need something done, oh, we'll plow your drive, and plumbing, piece of cake,
Yeah.
I really enjoy being there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then I just wanted to touch on this for a second. Is you have kids, right?
I do have 3. Mhm.
Yeah.
You might need to know this too. My oldest is a
ready.
probation officer
Oh,
in Vermilion County.
okay.
She
Why
went-
would I need to know that?
I'm just, you might need. I said you might.
So the
No,
winking
just
about
tell-
carding
Yeah,
people,
exactly.
you have a personal relationship with who would get you in trouble.
She's married to. I have homecoming pictures from their freshman year in high school at Schlarman, and that she's like 27 now.
Wow.
No, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I have a grandson who is 2.
Aw.
And he goes to the daycare here on campus.
Aw.
And yeah, it's great. Yeah, my middle child went to DAC 2, worked in corporate community ed.
What's that say?
Corporate
Corporate
community
community.
ed.
Corporate community ed.
That's how I got the mug.
Discreet.
Yeah, she worked there for like 3 years too, and she went to U of I and studied speech pathology. Her boyfriend grew up a block away from us, but I think he went to Schlarman for a little bit and then Danville. Pretty remarkable guy. He went here. Christian Roger. I don't know if anybody knows him or not, but he was in the plays and things like that. He also played hockey, and he does what's called a Red Bull Crash. Which is, okay, imagine yourself going down a toboggan run on
I've
ice
seen
skates.
this.
Yeah.
Swear to God. You Google it. It was just like, are you kidding? Who thought of this? You know?
I've
It's
seen
just
these
like,
videos.
stop it. So anyway, he does that. But he also worked, he graduated from Ohio State. And he got a job with Amazon. So she went to California with him to
Wow.
California, and they have, I guess you call them grand puppies or something like that.
You have a grand
pet
puppy.
or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a grandpuppy.
Yeah, and it's called Bainsky.
Bainsky?
Yeah, like the graffiti artist.
Oh.
Yeah, I
And-
definitely know that.
Okay. And then my youngest is a senior at Schlarman.
Gotcha.
So you're still around you're still seeing that your kids in high school type of thing since she's still a senior?
Yes, because I go there in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I know her class pretty well.
Yeah.
And I taught all those kids when they were in grade school at one time. And it was neat seeing them come back and,
Just watching them grow up.
Yeah, I really enjoy seeing them and their outlooks on future and
Yeah.
things like that. It's pretty
You think it's
neat.
going to be a different dynamic when they're out?
I still had taught some of the classes after them
Yeah.
when they were really small. So
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think it'll be much of a difference. Now, I don't have them. I just have juniors and seniors, obviously, because it's a dual enrollment. there's still probably a third of those I never had.
Yeah.
But there's that core group that I had back in St. Paul back in the day.
Gotcha. All right. So you took this job full time in 2013.
Yes.
So what was the biggest thing you had to learn the hard way when you took the job that maybe you didn't expect?
Well, I was here for a little while, so I kind of knew what they needed.
Yeah.
I was astonished at the fact that they didn't have a degree for the fine arts.
Okay.
So in the interview process, I mentioned I think we really need to get an AFA here, which we achieved in 2016, developed all the classes, things like that.
Yeah,
now,
I was going to say, I just applied for graduation, and it had that as an option, AFA.
I'm pretty proud of that. But
Yeah.
Of course, I had Dr. Penny McConnell's guidance and also Mr. Pate's guidance during all that, developing those classes and getting our ducks in a row to make that happen.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty cool.
yes,
That you
very
saw
cool.
that just come together.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The other big thing is I also picked up the graphic design classes. Now, when I took graphic design back with Lincoln, we didn't have computers. Well, we had computers, but not, the size of refrigerators. And it's like 3 keys just to indent your paragraphs. Word Star, Script Set, those are some of the old...
Never heard of them.
No.
Yeah, no. You guys got it so easy. So
Okay.
catching up in technology,
Yeah.
that was kind of a big one too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I've taken both of your I'm in art history right now, and I took art appreciation last year, and it's just stuff that I've never would have seen myself learning before I came to college. So why do you think it's important for students our age to know about the history of art dating back to BC?
Well, did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
of course he's going to say that.
Exactly. Not allowed to say no.
I think it's important. A couple of aspects, down the road, a certain employer might be really interested in art too, and at least you can carry on a casual conversation with them about art. I also think it's important to learn about art and also to make art because creative minds are really sought after nowadays. Thinking outside the box, solving those problems, not usually the traditional way.
Yeah.
It's easy when it's right and wrong, but when you have one question and several answers, that could work out pretty well. Typically, a question has one answer. Those kind of things I think are very important in today's society, especially when all this technology and the changes constantly. How you're going to adapt to this new technology. How you can think about those things creatively and apply them.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you're also the Phi Theta Kappa sponsor here.
I am.
So take us through that and what their function here at the college is.
Yeah, because I don't know much about that. I don't really know what it is.
It's the Honor Society on campus is pretty much what it is.
Okay.
You have to have a 3.5 and at least 12 credit hours to be invited. We do community service, picking up trash. We have a designated highway. It runs from Virginia to Brewer Road. We did a lot of activities with the COVID thing. We do fundraising, scholarships, fellowships, not so much as a social fraternity or sorority might have, given the Greek letters might imply.
Yeah.
But mostly just community service because it's like, what kind of footprint are you going to make in, or have you made in the community? Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of footprint have you made? And sometimes that supersedes your GPA, community service and volunteerism and things like that. Now, you guys got it made because you're doing this kind of stuff on campus. You're making a footprint on campus. That's important. And to be involved, not necessarily just, okay, I show up for classes and then I go work at, wherever.
Gotcha.
Menards or
Menards. Okay, so tell us about Phi Theta Kappa and like utilizing it to move on to a 4-year? Because when I had read up on it, it looked like there was a lot of scholarship opportunities.
There's a ton of scholarship opportunities. We also do the All Illinois Academic Team, which if you become an All Illinois Academic team member, you automatically are the All USA Academic Team. Okay. And that opens you up to several scholarships in itself. It's also very prestigious. You get your picture taken. You meet the board of directors, and it just goes on. A board of trustees. It goes on, and it just looks really good on an application, be it for scholarship, university, or even employment down the road.
Gotcha.
So you're repping a hat today, right?
I do. My students have this thing about covering up my bald spot. So,
Your students?
You think that's a bald spot? Have you seen Coach Hicks?
I do need to fertilize the front 40. But anyway, so I do wear it, especially in academic, surroundings and things.
Now I know what the letters mean.
What does Phi Theta Kappa?
Phi Theta Kappa.
Phi Theta
There we go.
Kappa.
So if you've been getting my emails,
Yes.
I'm just saying,
Yes.
you should join.
They just throw it in junk mail or something.
Yeah. So where do you see the college's fine arts organization in 5 years?
Of course, we're still kind of in our diapers. We just got our degree approved in 2016. Okay. Now we got the building to the south of us here, Dr. Jacobs Hall. I like to see that turned into a gallery at times. Of course, we're going to have events there. Of course, it's going to be a backup for classes and little open stage theaters, music, and things like that. Okay, and it'll fit good. It's a beautiful building, by the way. Not so much room downstairs, low ceilings and things for studios or anything like that. I'd like to see something where I could get a group of students and we could talk about working in galleries and things like that, because that would be a viable occupation when they do get their degree. When I had my grad assistantship, I worked at the Tarble Arts Center, and Tarble Arts Center at Eastern Illinois University was practically brand new at the time. And we set up shows. We got people come in from all over, and you hang shows and things like that. It also will teach you presentation. If you want to become an artist, you're going to have to hit the bricks a little bit. You're going to hit those fairs. You're going to enter those shows. And a lot of times those shows hinges on how the craftsmanship of your work. Is it framed right? Is it matted right? Mm-hmm. Is it matte clean? Is your artwork clean? And things like that.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
Gotcha.
Are you retiring anytime soon?
No.
Never?
I love this job.
Never ever.
I'm gonna be in the middle of a lecture and I'm gonna fall over right there.
Interesting.
Honestly, I do. I really like it. I might slow down.
Yeah.
I
just a
might
little
slow
bit.
down.
Might only have 4 jobs at one time.
Yeah,
not,
exactly.
8.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. I do have to say the tavern kind of works itself. I really don't
Yeah.
have to do a whole lot there.
Gotcha.
Interesting. I always wondered who owned Rosie's Tavern. It was kind of just there,
Well, do you know the Domelanos?
I do. Wait, which ones?
Scott, the Danville Police Department. He was a detective there or an investigator for 17 years. 17 years, and he was an officer for probably 20 something.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he's my business partner.
Okay.
He does security.
I feel like I know. I know other Domelanos.
That'd be Todd, his twin
Tom.
brother.
Oh, really?
Todd.
Okay. So I grew up with Todd's daughter.
Cece.
Mm-hmm. Grew up with Cece. So that's how I know the Domelanos.
Gotcha.
I did not know that he was part of that.
I have nothing bad to say about them. I could crack jokes, but I won't.
Talk about the morgue.
Okay.
Should
So
we put that in there?
do you have any stories that you could tell?
Okay.
So-
It seems like
should
everybody
we
does.
intro this first though?
So anyway, my room, the art room is right down the hall from the studio here, right?
Yeah.
And this is in the basement of a clock tower. Well, anyway, I told a friend of mine who just happened to be the father of the mayor at the time, Eisenhower. And he used to be the janitor here when it was the VA. This is when the original 7 VAs in the United States, I believe Uncle Joe Cannon had something to do with having it here. Well, in the 60s, I think, is when the VA handed the buildings over to the college. And he said, well, where is your classroom? I says, well, it's in the basement of the clock tower. And he goes, well, that's where the morgue was. And I thought he was teasing me. And, of course, he wasn't teasing me. He says, no, really, that was where the morgue was. And upstairs was the cafeteria. Well, the funny thing about it is I used to teach a night class, and it would get over at 9:15, and I would grade the papers after the class left at 9:15 when really there's not a whole lot of people in the building at all. And I'd always feel this like cold breeze over my shoulder and little shadows move in the background and things like that. And after I found out it was the morgue, I didn't do that anymore. I just went home. I left.
You walked out with your
You walked out with the students, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't sticking around.
Yeah, I guess other people have stories from down here.
Laura was telling us one before we started, and I'd love to hear that at some point. So.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
I don't deal well with that type of stuff.
No. We're going to move on to our rapid fire question segment called Deck Attack.
1, 2, 3, 4. Deck attack, 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 deck attack.
I mean, that's it?
Pastels or watercolor?
Watercolor.
Mornings or evenings?
Evenings.
Photos or videos?
Videos.
Graphic design class or art history class?
Art history.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Summer or winter?
I do like winter.
Eat.
Yeah, I don't like. I used to be a roofer,
Oh, okay, yeah.
building houses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Eat in or dine out?
Dine out.
Okay.
Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Sculpting or painting?
Painting.
Whoa, really? Not sculpting?
Not sculpting. I was a painting major, and I was an abstract expressionist.
Okay.
But I really got into it. I really enjoyed it. Action painting and things like that. Action painters were painters that thought making the painting was more important than the outcome.
Interesting.
Like Jackson Pollock. So like he was dripping paint. Now you think about Jackson Pollock's paintings, they're like half an inch thick. So think about that. So was that first layer of paint as compositionally sound as the last layer? Because it just kept going and going.
Yeah.
But he thought making the painting was more important.
Then
Okay?
interesting. I heard you really enjoyed like coil. Is that what it's
I
called?
do like coil pots. Yeah, I do. That's pretty relaxing, but I don't dive into it as academic as I do like painting. I
Yeah.
feel like I know far more about painting than I do about ceramics.
Interesting.
Although I took several ceramics classes, graduate level and undergraduate, to fulfill my 3D design requirement. You know.
Gotcha.
Just to fulfill the requirements.
Well, that's how it started. And
Yeah,
then it just,
exactly.
like,
We've all been there before.
Yeah. Mhm. But I fell in love with it. I liked it. Spent 8 hours in the studio in college. And, it was a little community setting in there
Yeah.
when we made stuff. So
That last one did surprise me.
Yeah. Well, I can't let you go without asking who your favorite artist is.
my favorite artist, Robert Rauschenberg.
Okay.
He was he was kind of a neo-pop. He was an action painter. He would drip paintings. He would use found objects and apply them to canvases and things like that. Now, I do have to say that is really a hard question,
Yeah.
because there's several of them and several different genres I could
Yeah.
run with.
Thank you so much, Mr.
And
Johnson.
thank you for having me.
We had
I
so
really
much
enjoyed
fun.
It. Hmm?
See, it wasn't scary, was it?
No.
No, it was terrifying.
Oh, I'm so
No, it was
sorry.
all right. You made me very comfortable.
Yeah.
Aw. Well, thank you guys for listening. This has been the DACCAST with Kaya and Keegan.
Stay classy, Jaguars.